Hey Allison, my name is Marissa. I chose to respond to your discussion post because you didn't mention the specific career path that you wanted to pursue. And similarly, I'm not completely sure what exact career path that I'm going to be doing once I graduate. I've been looking into social work and occupational therapy as a serious option, and whatever I do end up doing will definitely include helping families and children. As you said, families and children of all kinds are affected by elements of their socioeconomic status, and it's inevitable that you'll experience families ranging from really high socioeconomic statuses to really low ones. Like we both mentioned in our post, coming from a family with a lower income can pose a ton more difficulties in your life and just bring a lot more stress upon the family and every individual in the family unit. I was really surprised to read the statistic that you included in your post that on average, people that graduated from college earned 65% more than high school graduates in 2015. I assumed that college graduates probably did make more than people that didn't have any degrees, but I wasn't aware that the gap was that significant. Another thing I wanted to add to that statement was that sometimes this can create a cycle of poverty among families and make it harder for kids that are born into these lower incomes to get out of that category. People that are born into these families obviously have no control over that and usually have to struggle to make ends meet. Like, for example, if both of your parents didn't graduate from college and because of it they struggle financially to support you and themselves, it's likely that they won't be able to afford to send you to college or to get any kind of higher education. When people are constantly worried about how to pay their rent, pay for their gas to get to work, and even pay for food to support the family, the importance of sending their child to get more education, like drops to be a bottom priority, and survival definitely remains as like the main goal. Obviously, keeping your family fed with a roof over their head tends to be a way higher priority over going to school for a degree. While it's like not really required that you get a degree, obviously getting food is something that needs to happen. So it tends to be more important, and education seems to just fade away for a lot of families, and they don't even think about that as an option because they know that there's no way that they would be able to afford it. I feel like many of these parents that didn't go to college also tend to think that since they didn't go to college, their kids will be fine if they don't go. And on the other hand, there are people that are born into families with higher socioeconomic statuses, and they definitely have a hand up in society because they have a ton more resources that are readily available to them. And these parents typically don't worry about survival and making ends meet. And if they do, it's definitely not as often. So they're able to focus the majority of their attention on their kids and their futures. And not only do these children usually receive more attention from their parents. They also receive more help, and they also experience a significantly less amount of stress in their household, which allows them to focus on school and bettering themselves in general and just working on getting to that higher education. I also saw that you mentioned President Lyndon B. Johnson's program, Head Start, that he created about 50 years ago, to help out millions of kids from low-income families. And it's funny because I was actually just talking about this program in one of my other classes, and I think it's such a great program that he was able to achieve getting started here in America. And my future career definitely is going to focus around improving the lives of families and children by meeting their emotional, social, and psychological needs, which is similar to what the Head Start program was also created to do. Just like we're talking about now, President Johnson was able to realize the gap between children of low-income and high-income families, and he was aware of that huge disadvantage that children had if they had low-income families, and they experienced lower levels of development in all aspects. I definitely believe that this program is one of the most like constructive and sensible ones that have ever been made to help disadvantaged children in our nation. And I also found a quote by President Obama where he talked about the Head Start program, and he said, "For millions of families, Head Start has been a lifeline, and for millions of kids, it's been the start of a better life." I know I mentioned the term cycle of poverty earlier, which is something that's stated really often when you're reading about the Head Start program. And I think this is because the program was specifically designed to break the cycle of poverty. That it sometimes cause that the cycle of poverty is sometimes caused by parents not being able to afford to go to college and receive that higher education. So you mentioned in your post that upper and middle class families tend to have gone to college more often than lower income families, which is definitely true. But something I also was thinking about was that the fact that even parents of higher income families didn't, like, even if they didn't go to college, they still have way more resources due to their financial situation to be able to send their kids to college and give them the resources to be able to even get to that point. And just like the resources to ensure that they have a bright future ahead of them and just don't struggle, because obviously that's a parent's main goal typically. Another aspect you didn't mention that I feel is super important in low income families is their struggle to afford insurance, mainly health insurance, and just not just insurance, but good insurance that actually has like good coverage and can do something. So as I said earlier, I'm not sure what exact career path I wanted to do, but occupational and social therapy was definitely high on my list, and I would expect families of all incomes to come to me. And the more I thought about it, I realized that a lot of these families that actually like need me more aren't going to be able to afford coming to therapy. And obviously it's really important that these people do. So I would try to create some sort of program. I'm not sure how, but just be able for these people to be able to afford me, and just like have other options such as like in-home therapy, and just like little things like that, and just like giving advice. But also these families of lower incomes have lower education, and they may not be aware of the importance of therapy, and therefore their children may never be exposed to it, like ever, and not even know about it, even if those are the people that need it the most. Because of this, whatever career I do end up choosing, my goal is going to be making it possible for all families, no matter what their financial situation is, to be able to get help and the help they need, and not contribute to an even more increased disadvantage to people that can hardly control it in the first place. Overall, though, I really enjoyed your post, and well done.